Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Maxed Out, Breaking Down the Halls with me, Lorena Coleman. I want to begin today by thanking everyone for listening. This Maxton Hall fandom is such a great community, and I've been connecting with so many of you. If it weren't for this show, I never would have gotten to know some of you. It's crazy to think that no matter where you live in the world, what language you speak, or what your demographics are, Maxton Hall has brought all of us together. When the show first came out, no one in my area had heard of it. No one had seen it. And I kept telling them, you've got to watch the show. You've got to watch it. It's so good. Yet there weren't many people in my circle that I could talk to about the characters, the music, and the emotions that the show was making me feel. And really, that's why I started this podcast. This here gives me an outlet to just talk all I want about my favorite show. And moving forward in the podcast, I'm going to start giving shout outs. So today I'm going to give a shout out to Davisha. Please check out her Damien Harding, Florida fan page on Instagram. So let's dive into episode 2. And the opening scene begins with James and his dad playing chess. This gives us great insight into how young James was shaped by his dad, Mortimer. And the dad is basically teaching him how to exploit people and to give them one course of action. It fast forwards to present day. And I started hearing this song, First and Last, which I had never heard before. I really liked it. It's pretty catchy. And we see James, he's getting ready for school. Yet initially I thought he looked like he was getting ready for the office. He looked like a CEO. He's putting on his white shirt, his jacket. He's adjusting his tie. We see his watch. He's got attitude written all over his face. That song, Man in Finance, that's basically what starts going through my head when I saw this clip of him getting ready for school. And as he heads down the stairs, there's a slow motion of him. He's walking across what looks like a massive living room. The maid is there waiting with his cup of coffee. I mean, that opening scene right there was just pretty crazy. We hear him say that a Beaufort, they won't be bossed around. Not by the headmaster, and certainly not by Ruby Bell. And it's funny how he says that because he says her name with an undertone of dislike. So from there, we shift over to the events committee meeting. They're basically talking about the strippers that crashed the party. And from there, we move over to the lacrosse field. And we see James, who, by the way, he's the team captain. And the coach sees him and he's wondering why he's not at the events committee meeting, because that's where he's supposed to be and not at the practice here. And the coach says to him that it's actually his dad who gave him the order for the suspension. And the camera turns to James's face and he looks confused, hurt, angry. And the coach, he motions for Cyril to take over the practice. And then we see James and Lydia, and basically he's telling her what happened on the lacrosse field and how he's going to go and give Ruby just one course of action and how she's not going to win. Does this sound familiar? It's basically what his dad was teaching him as a child. So from here, we then move over to the events committee and they're talking about the upcoming gala. And we see Kieran. He's discussing his poster design for the event. And James, he finally shows up and he bashes his poster design. And he actually makes a recommendation that they should have a Victorian themed party instead. And he even draws a picture of a woman in a Victorian dress that really impresses everyone. Well, impresses everyone but Ruby. And she's just not happy about it. I mean, they've got their theme and all, and she doesn't want to start from scratch. The poster design has to go out in the coming days. And they take a vote, and they go ahead and they decide to go with the Victorian theme. So from there, we see Lynn telling Ruby that, hey, maybe they should take photos of the dresses from the Beaufort collection. And it's Ruby who loses a bet as to which of the two of them is going to go ask James. And of course, James says no in his usual arrogant tone. He doesn't want to help out Ruby. But luckily, Ruby has an amazing and talented sister who's going to help her out. So we're going to come back to that in a little bit. So now in the next scene, we see that James is joining his dad for a jog. And the first thing that Mortimer says to him is, race you to the bench. Well, Mortimer wins and he's so excited that he won. But he tells James that next time he expects him to win. And there's a lot that goes on in this scene here. This interaction that the dad has with James, it's pretty heartbreaking. And James is telling him how he wants to go back on the lacrosse team. It's his last year at Maxton Hall. And also because the team is about to win their third title in a row. And what Mortimer says next, I was like, no, he didn't. He did not just say that. It's really bad what he says. So at this point, we hear Mortimer say that he's not surprised that they're about to win their third title, considering it's a girls' sport. I could not believe he said that. I mean, yeah, I couldn't believe he said that. The look on James's face is that of anger, hurt. It's just awful. I mean, as a viewer, you can really feel his pain. And his dad tells him that he really should be focusing on the investor reception for their new line called Young Beaufort, because actually James, he's going to be the face of this new collection. It's sounding like Mortimer is putting so much pressure on James because he also tells him that the company and the family's image, it really depends on James. So as a viewer, we're really feeling his pain. So from this sad scene, we move over to a happy Ruby and Ember who have stayed up all night working on the dress. And then we're back at the mansion again, and it's the day of the reception. They're introducing the Young Beaufort line, and the mom starts talking about how the company has been around for 125 years and that they're a luxury fashion brand. And over at the table, we see James. He's physically there, but mentally, you can tell that he's not there. He just has a look on his face as if he's just really disinterested. And you can also see that too in Lydia's face when the camera goes over to her. But James, he puts on a good face. He gives a good speech. He introduces the line. And as he's talking, we see the camera go over to his sister, Lydia, and she's actually mouthing the words, meaning she knows the speech, which means she wrote the speech. And the mom notices that Lydia is mouthing the words. So a lot goes on at this reception here, introducing the new line. And from this scene, now we're back at the Bell House, and the dress is actually done. They stayed up all night working on it. But guess what? The dress gets accidentally burnt when Ruby is responding to a group text. She had sent the committee members a photo of Ember and the sewing machine. Oh, and James, typical James, he says that the sewing machine, it looks like it came from a dumpster. And obviously Ruby's not happy. She starts to say, you arrogant, and I won't finish it, but she doesn't finish it either. But we know what she's thinking. And it's at this time that we notice the iron has burnt the dress. Ruby starts crying. Her sister runs in. But Ember, being the wonderful sister that she is, she's not mad. She says to Ruby, do you think you can still use the dress? Oh, I love their relationship. They're such great sisters. So now we move back to the classroom, and there's a huge verbal showdown between Ruby and James. He actually gets so mad that he storms out of the classroom. And basically what Ruby did was she attacked him. She said that he's really nothing more than his name. And I think after he storms out, just because of the way the camera goes over to her, you can see the expression that she has. She's really regretting what she said, and she looks almost like she's shaking, like she's really upset by what she had caused. So from there, now we move over to Lydia, and she's meeting with Mr. Sutton. And he's actually there to break things off, not because he wants to. It's obvious that he cares for her, but he's telling her that he doesn't want her to throw away her future or opportunities with Beaufort. And Lydia isn't happy about this, and she actually walks off upset. And now from here, we move over to another party. We see James. He's having a good time. And he struts into the room where Alistair is, and they basically start talking about what happened in the classroom. And James, he just doesn't want to talk about it, doesn't want to hear about it, and he starts to walk off until Alistair says, okay, I'll back off. But yeah, basically the way he just walked into that room, wow, that's all I will say. So moving on from there, we see Ruby and her dad. Oh, they're having such a great conversation. Yeah, I love this scene here. So she's asking him if he's ever hurt someone so much that they left the room. And the dad, which by the way, the dad, Angus Bell, he is amazing. He's being played by German actor Martin Neuhaus. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. And I just can't imagine anyone else being cast for that role. He's just perfect. And in this scene, the dad notices that something is wrong and he asks Ruby if everything is okay. And she says it's nothing important and for him not to worry about it. But he says something so touching. He says that his contract as a dad means that if she's not all right, then he's not all right. He's such a sweetheart and so supportive. I'm starting to notice a major difference between the two dads. I'm noticing the way that Mortimer behaves around his children and how he treats his children, and the way Angus is with his kids and how he treats them. So yeah, big differences between these two dads. So now we move over to a huge scene, bigger than the verbal assault in the classroom between Ruby and James. We move over to the lacrosse field, and Ruby is there to basically apologize. As I said, this is a major scene, a huge turning point in this series. So she's pretty nervous. You can tell as she walks out. She says that she's sorry, and she even tells him that the Victorian party was the better idea. Well, she went to apologize, and she's about to go on her way when James says, "How's it going with the gown?" And she tells him that it got burnt, and he says it got burnt. So she also says that the poster probably won't be their best and that you can't win all the time, which is a no-no in Mortimer's world. And they actually stare at each other for about 10 seconds. And yes, I counted. It was about 10 seconds. They're just looking at each other. And this is the moment that we, the viewers, know that James is falling for Ruby Bell. Oh, and I'm so ready for this. He says to her, "See you Monday," and say hi to Lexington, which then makes Ruby turn. Actually, no, she doesn't turn, which makes Ruby give him the middle finger. And the look on his face, you can tell he has fallen for Ruby Bell. OMG, the expression on his face. Yeah, definitely he's fallen for Ruby Bell. So from here, we move over to a scene where he's drawing Ruby from memory. And if you had seen Titanic, I am totally getting Jack Dawson vibes, drawing Rose. That's what came to mind when they showed this scene of James drawing Ruby. Oh, I loved it. I really, really loved it. So after this happy drawing scene, Mortimer comes in and he invites James to go and play a game of golf. And I'm thinking, okay, great. They're going to bond, father and dad. This is good. But nope. He did not invite him to go play golf so that they can have fun. He actually is looking at it as a business deal, as a transaction. He's also invited Alistair's father. Alistair's father, his name is Harold Ellington. And the reason why Mortimer invited him is because he's a potential investor for young Beaufort. But he's also invited Elaine, who is Alistair's sister and the girl that we see at the very beginning in the opening scene of episode 1. She's the girl who's lying in bed with James. And she actually goes up to James, greets him, and gives him the longest kiss on the cheek that I've seen. And James doesn't say anything really. You can tell that he's not happy. You can tell that he's surprised that they've shown up. And at this moment, James starts thinking about Ruby's having flashbacks to when they had seen each other over on the lacrosse field. And he realizes now that everything that his father taught him about winning in life when they were playing that chess game, that there's actually a third option. He thought you either win or you lose, but now he realizes that the third option is a draw. And as I said, he's having flashbacks of him and Ruby. So yeah, huge turning point once again. And now the last scene of episode 2, it takes place at the Bell House. They're all sitting around watching a documentary about elephants. This family, they are so cute. They're so loving. They're all sitting down. Oh, I loved it. Yeah, I love this family here. And Ruby gets a text. So she looks at it and she races off to her room. And I'm thinking, oh, I know who that is. I bet you it's James sending her a text. And guess what? It is. He's telling her that they can go and take a look at the gowns and take photos for the poster, for the gala. And Ruby says, when are we going? And he says, how about right now? And I should also mention that there is a scene of James in the car. Percy's driving him over to Ruby's house. He looks really happy. And I think that's the first time between episode 1 and this episode here where he truly looks happy. And it's because he's having this text exchange, this communication with Ruby. It's almost flirtatious. And I'm starting to think, even though Ruby, she didn't really care for him in episode 1 and now she's apologized to him, I'm starting to think that she's falling for him. And when she runs to that window and she sees his car there, you can tell that she's nervous. So that is basically how episode 2 ends. And we are so ready for episode 3. Episode 3 is my favorite. I don't want to tell you how many times I've seen episode 3. I don't want to embarrass myself, but just know that when I put on episode 3, I tell everyone at home, no one bother me. Don't bother me for the next hour. I'm watching my show. And they know what I'm talking about. And I'll actually stop it. Well, I don't want to give any spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen this show, but yeah, I love episode 3. So I'm really excited to talk to you about the next episode. And yeah, I'd love to get your feedback too about the next episode. Thank you again for taking the time to listen. I mean, no matter where you are in the world, I really appreciate you listening to me. I really want to hear from you. There are many ways to get in touch with me. Please take a look at my show notes, but you can text me, you can send me a DM, you can follow me on Instagram, you can send me an email. As I said, all of this information is in my show notes. And let me know if you have any questions. I'll answer them in future episodes of this podcast. Also, let me know if you want me to give you a shout out. If you've got a Maxton Hall fan page on Instagram, I'd be happy to give you a shout out. And please don't forget to subscribe, rate, and write a review. I'm going to be dropping weekly episodes, so talk to you next week. Have a good day.